once you get above 5 million or 10 million turnover. Looking at, how do you deal with sovereign cloud?
With what? Sorry?
Sovereign cloud. So
okay.
Germany and sovereign data centers.
Yeah.
Applications with that?
Actually, if we're talking about the companies, especially the ones that have been acquired, like Cloud Simple, for example, they do the only one hypervisor and they do the multi-cloud across this one hypervisor like VMware. If we're talking about the sovereign, so it's basically the same. They don't have the migration tools between the different hypervisors, and they didn't do the single connectivity between all of them. So this is the point, to have the single overlay where it doesn't matter how your app is migrating between those clouds. So we know all the companies that have been acquired by Microsoft or Google. They basically have the Azure or the VMware, and they have only one hypervisor, for example. So.
All right, thank you so much, Dmitry.
So how do you? So you said.
Unfortunately, we have.
So you said that you talked
because we ran out of time. Thank you, Dmitry. If you'd like to add something, add it in the comment section. Okay, so right now we've come to an end of finals of 100 Wolves pitching contest, and right now we will move on. You have just gotten an email from us with a meeting link to deliberate and to choose the winners. So we will move on to that place shortly. And I'd like to thank the judges who joined me here today. So Karen and Nicholas from Angel Hub, and Warwick Hill from Super Capital Partners, and Ian Ellis from London Enterprise Tech Meetup. So thank you so much for being here with us today. We'll have 30 minutes to choose the winner, and then the awards will be announced here on the main stage. So thank you so much for being with us, and see you soon.
Well, again, it's my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, all the way from France. It's Dr. Karina Jensen, who will be talking about becoming a global success story, startup development, and success factors.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here at Wolf Summit, and a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak to you about becoming a global success story, leading and collaborating for startup success. And what I'd like to share with you is really the human aspect of becoming an entrepreneur and developing a business into big success, looking at how you make that journey from inclusive leadership to creating that vision and bringing your team on board and to enjoying great business success. So I'm going to take you on a journey, and we're going to take a look at how to bring that vision alive and how to develop your global success story. This is something that it starts with a spark. It starts with a dream, a vision. We've seen all the wonderful stories of businesses that have started in garages or bedrooms, from Apple to Airbnb to BlaBlaCar to many more, to Alibaba and Wipro and many more around the world. And it's not just about the big stories, those who start with a dream and a spark and then grow into large, successful companies that have a presence around the world. What's I find most exciting is this spark and this idea that develops that wonderful global vision of what can it become, what kind of value will it create, how will it change people's lives around the world. And on my journey, it's during my own global journey, I've had the pleasure to observe, to experience, to learn, and to accompany entrepreneurs from idea to success. And from my own journey, starting my career, my international career in Silicon Valley, launching global products to the world, to different regions, from North America to Europe, Middle East, Africa to Asia Pacific, and South America. It was a wonderful learning experience to see how companies are growing, not only once they become a global success, but how they sustain that success around the world as they continue to inspire new innovations. And along that journey, I also started a consultancy, a Global Minds Network, to look at how could I accompany these organizations to help them go international and to help them nurture their dreams and also to make those even greater successes for customers and markets around the world. And through that journey, I also found the opportunity to take an academic path. Because I thought I have to go out there and study this and be in the field and discover and understand how are leaders and becoming more innovative today. How can they nurture that innovation around the world, and how can they successfully collaborate and enlist others to make their concepts and solutions a success. And so that path brought me to academia and to France, and where I had the chance to study and research global leaders who were leading these initiatives around the world and looking at how they not only developed solutions from concept to market, but also how they could successfully collaborate across cultures and functions. So that's led me to the role that I have today, and serving as a practice director at the Center for Leadership, as well as professor in global innovation leadership at Neoma Business School. It's also brought me to the opportunity today where I can accompany organizations or leaders and organizations and consult, as well as perform research to look at how they're evolving their global journeys and success stories. And finally, to go beyond and look at how to help young and aspiring entrepreneurs. And I feel very fortunate in that sense to be on the academic side and help engage aspiring entrepreneurs that in my innovation courses and through innovation projects, seeing their sparks and dreams come alive. And finally, looking at how that even affects other communities around the world, and which is giving me the most pleasure to work with social entrepreneurs, or to help train social entrepreneurs in Nepal and Kathmandu, and to look at how they are making their dreams come alive as well with limited resources. So taking this journey is very exciting for me to come here to Wolf Summit and to speak to you as a global community, to leaders, executives, to investors, to entrepreneurs, to all of you who are helping create this global success story. And what I would like to share are some discoveries from my journey, from research, from experience, from consulting and training, and some key elements or drivers to think about in growing your global success story and making it come alive. And during the last decade, I have done a lot of research around global innovation. So spend time in the field with global leaders, those who are entrepreneurs, who are launching new ventures within large organizations, as well as those who are leading new initiatives to sustain that innovation within an organization. And I think we have a lot to learn from them. These are leaders who are responsible for global innovation projects, new products, new services, and initiatives, responsible for cross-cultural and cross-functional teams. And what I found most interesting is to look at what are the drivers, what ensures that they can succeed and truly become successful global innovators. And I've found that there are 3 success levers: vision, nurturing a global compelling vision through inclusive leadership and strategic co-creation. And 2, that shapes the dialogue, an inclusive dialogue where you as a leader and entrepreneur can nurture knowledge sharing and cross-cultural learning, so making sure that all voices are heard and they can contribute to a powerful solution. And that in turn shapes the space, how to build that global innovation culture where everyone thrives, everyone's inspired and engaged, especially through a creative team climate. And those drivers help to create that continuous innovation cycle for leaders and entrepreneurs today, to look at how do you start with an idea, discovery, and invite co-creation or ideation to inspire others and develop that idea and bring it to strategic planning or strategic co-creation to integrate the critical knowledge and ideas for a sound strategy, one that is both local and global. And then you bring that to validation, working closely with the market, with your customers, and integrating the knowledge and data and feedback to ensure you have a powerful business case and also a solution that speaks to those customers. And that in turn brings you to market now to lead that execution to success and to ensure that you will achieve high performance and make that a global success story. So what I'd like to do is really talk about these 5 points or 5 drivers that I'd like to share with you that have been shaped through my research, through my experience, through consulting and observation. And the first one is creating a global vision. So looking at how will you create an inclusive global vision, one that's compelling, that will attract the world. And I think it starts really with your own idea and your own spark as you're developing your startup. And as you're encouraging or attracting investors as well as potential customers, think big, think about the world. How will you change the world? So it's a vision for your startup that's not only in your own city and your own country, but think beyond and think how that vision can potentially create valuable solutions for communities, customers, and markets around the world. So really think about that global vision, one that can create impact around the world, especially in today's world, because as you see, we've become more interdependent and there is so much collective wisdom that we can tap into. And as we see this turbulent, changing world, that's not only global, it's multicultural, it's digitally connected. It's so important to look at how will you contribute to creating more value for that world and ensure wealth for many communities around the world, or help change their lives in positive ways. So nurturing that global vision, dream big, and really think about how can you change the world or create more value for communities around the globe. The second driver is to co-create and connect ideas. And this is very important in how are you going to attract and inspire your teams, your customers, your investors. What will be important here is to ensure that you will go out there and make those discoveries. You will co-create with customers as well as your team and really connect into the collective wisdom that is so important to creating a powerful and valuable solution. And often that is done through those abilities to create leadership behaviors, mindsets, behaviors, and skills that will nurture co-creation, ensure a connection with everyone, and to encourage people to really invite them to share their ideas. And this is really through three areas that I found in my research as well as experience, especially today. I think these are emerging skills that will become extremely important as we become more and more a blended society. We're spending more time online today more than ever. And you will need to think about not only how you collaborate with your own team, but also how you connect with customers around the world. And so that requires the creative mind, to nurture your creative mind constantly and look at how you can find moments of creativity, time for creativity, and also that time to develop your shared vision and to inspire others, invite their ideas for co-creation, and in the process empower them to be part of the journey, be part of your story, where they can really contribute their knowledge and talent. And that is really done through this ideation and co-creation process. Another area that is very important for co-creating and connecting is the critical thinker. So how will you develop your skills to be a critical thinker in terms of understanding how to build a strong business case? What are your analytical skills in terms of how you will determine the best or most effective decision-making process, and looking at that in terms of developing a coherent strategy that really speaks to your vision, but also will capture and the market and create results, create the envisioned results or outcome. And that requires strong problem-solving skills, understanding what is needed, also identifying challenges and issues, and being able to apply a process that will help you solve those challenges or problems and create new solutions. And that means being a knowledge integrator as well. So identifying the important data and knowledge from your team, from your customers, that you can integrate and help develop your business case. The third area is the collaborator. So this is the third area where I see that future entrepreneurs and leaders will require more collaboration skills. So how will you as a leader develop that open mind, being open to other perspectives and new approaches in order to constantly question your concept or solution, to look at better ways or ways to improve that solution and ensure that you truly can satisfy your customers and create value for your markets. That requires an open mind. It's also about being communicative, how you are engaging and interacting with your team and your clients, your partners, looking at how you can connect with them. So constantly honing your interpersonal skills, developing trust, developing strong and positive relationships, and in the process, learning. What will you learn from your teams, from your customers and your partners? How can you bring in that learning to, again, develop more co-creation opportunities, as well as look at how you can integrate that into decision-making and your business case. And that also involves transparency. So as you are open to your teams, you create a space that is transparent and open. And they will follow. The third lever is the orchestrating innovation. So how will you orchestrate innovation, which is so important to making it happen? Once you have the great idea and concept that you've created with your team, and you're at the point you've developed a sound business case, you truly feel that you understand your customers, whether they be in Warsaw, Paris, New York City, Beijing, Cape Town, wherever they are, that you have that understanding. And now you're ready to execute, to orchestrate innovation. And today, as a leader and entrepreneur, you really need to think about how to orchestrate innovation in terms of our environment that's so digitally connected and very team and project driven. So as we have seen, especially now in our current and the pandemic crisis as well, but even before, we see that more and more networks are forming and organizations are becoming more a team and project driven. And as startups are developed, they have an even better opportunity to create these organic and flexible structures that are powered by technology and powered by the web. That takes a leader who can really facilitate or orchestrate innovation through this new network, be it a global network or local ecosystem. Look at how will you orchestrate that innovation and empower a new generation of entrepreneurs and leaders who are younger, they're globally diverse, and they're tech savvy. So orchestrating innovation will require special abilities. And through my research, I've seen leaders who are really becoming innovation orchestrators. It's like a symphony. You're really orchestrating, you're designing and orchestrating that process. And you're also engaging and inviting your team to play in this beautiful symphony and to create a wonderful process and, of course, solution. And it's a continuous cycle. So as you are inspiring and engaging and leading teams and collaborating, look at how you are orchestrating that innovation through the creation phase, ideation phase. How are you empowering your teams to initiate ideas, to co-create, and to bring their creative energy to that process? And as you move forward and start developing the strategy and start developing the business case to identify the right strategy, the critical knowledge in terms of local and global competition, looking at cultural practices or customer habits, all of that critical knowledge and data requires an inclusive leadership behavior. How will you integrate? How will you be open to that knowledge and ensure integration of knowledge that is shared by your teams as well as customers? And that will help you develop a strategy that truly speaks to your customers and markets and brings you to validation, where you need to ensure a sound business case, critical analysis, and decision-making process through a decisive behavior, and how you will monitor that, how you will ensure that you will integrate the right knowledge as well as the right team to enact or to execute on that business case, which brings you to execution and go to market. How, again, you will develop those communicative behaviors and ensure that you're responsive, that you're on the ground and connected with those customers and markets, that you can respond quickly to changes and to new knowledge. That requires communicative behaviors. Which finally will bring you to global team performance. With all of those in place, you'll be able to orchestrate innovation success and ensure very successful team performance. And not to forget, it's also about orchestrating virtual collaboration. And this is where you really need to connect the network. And whether it's a global network or a local ecosystem, need to identify who are the actors, how are they going to integrate or interact in order to ensure synergies. And that requires a look at your design. So as you create the network, you need to look at IT design. How are you going to stay connected and communicate and collaborate? It requires a look at IT design in terms of 3 critical areas: communication tools, collaboration tools, and project management. If you can cover those 3, a specific, powerful tool or platform for those 3 areas, communication, collaboration, project management, this should really help you power your startup in the growth mode, especially if you're going global. And then you have social design. You also have to look at your team who's involved. Now, how are they embracing this new technology, and how social media savvy are they? So choose the tools and platforms that are most comfortable for your team, and most intuitive, where they can easily collaborate, so that you can nurture that virtual space as well. And also look at how you can ensure transparency and flexibility, so everyone can be responsive and understand what is needed in the moment, and ensure that they can effectively collaborate with each other and share knowledge. This brings us to the fourth driver, facilitating knowledge sharing. So how will you facilitate knowledge sharing, which is even more important today, to constantly learn and understand new knowledge, to discover new ideas. And this is often done through our human interactions, whether we're at the water cooler, whether we're looking at or having coffee together, or virtual happy hour, or online networking. All of this is so important, and for a startup to grow, as well as for organizations to continue to evolve and go global. So facilitating knowledge sharing will be even more important in today's business world. And how you facilitate that as a leader, as an entrepreneur, is critical. So looking at how will you do that in terms of knowledge sharing and learning, how will you connect? So it starts with the social network. Look at, and especially today, you're online. So how are we connecting? How will you connect the team? How will you connect customers in the most effective way, using which technologies? And once you start connecting and exchanging and sharing, then how will you ensure effective knowledge sharing, that you can capture knowledge that's important to your project, that's important for your growth? And how will you learn? If you're sharing knowledge across functions, across cultures, it's very important to capture that learning, as well as encourage your teams to share as well. And this I've seen happen in so many different environments in very effective ways, from large companies such as Google, which is always in an ideation mode, encouraging their teams to constantly ideate and draw on the walls or create new ideas on virtual boards. To encourage them to initiate a new idea and to connect with their teams around the world through technology. I've seen this with Airbnb as well, and how they are sharing local customer stories to keep everybody connected and learning about what's happening in different locations, and to look at synergies. So this happens in many different ways, and that in which we can learn from as well. It's also happening on the ground. I've seen just even very simple ways of sharing knowledge, especially today, or a few years ago, more than a decade ago, when we were experiencing our financial crisis around 2007, 2010 in San Francisco, my hometown. I remember people saw that as an opportunity. Everybody, a lot of people lost their jobs, and there were a lot of startups that went under. However, people saw that as an opportunity to connect and share and learn from each other. And so what happened is that people would start going to the cafes in San Francisco. There would be developers, there would be entrepreneurs or marketers, designers, engineers. They would start hanging out in the cafes and start thinking about what's the next great idea and how can we share knowledge to help each other. So people would be having their coffee and exchanging, and then you'd see an engineer stand up, say, hey, I need a marketer, could you help me with this idea? Or a marketer would say, I need a designer. And pretty soon you could see these self-forming teams, and that were working on the next great idea, and by sharing knowledge and learning from each other. And I've also seen this happen in wonderful ways today with the current pandemic crisis, looking at how colleagues are connecting and forming new groups and new ways to connect, to help each other with their businesses, to help even many new ideas are now starting online. I think that this challenge that we're going through will create a community of new entrepreneurs as well as exciting new ideas for the future. And it's all thanks to connecting with each other, sharing that knowledge and learning in order to develop those new opportunities. And making those opportunities happen will rely on the power of dialogue. And what I find is so important around the world, consistent with my research across the regions, across cultures, for us leaders to listen, to truly listen, active listening, listen to understand, not listen to respond, listen to understand, and see what you can learn and what you can, how you nurture that relationship with your colleagues, your teams, your customers. The art of listening is very important today. And it's not just about listening. You can be a wonderful listener and then just walk away and never make anything happen or not act or respond. And you may break the trust or the relationship with your teams or customers. What is important for listening and being truly active listening is how you respond in that moment as well and afterwards. So as you listen to your teams, as you listen to your customers, as you hear their needs and their interests, and what they truly desire, then how will you respond to that? Will you respond and show them a new solution, show your customers a new solution? Will you respond to your teams to give them the support and resources they need? If you truly can respond through active listening, then you will develop strong relationships, you will develop engagement, and you will develop thriving teams. And that's what I call inclusive dialogue. The final driver is unleashing a global innovation culture. This is what's so exciting about being an entrepreneur in today's world, is looking at how can you unleash that global innovation culture. And especially today's world, as I've mentioned, is so interdependent and multicultural, digitally connected. So you have every opportunity to shape that culture with your team as you grow. And global innovation culture will be very important in terms of how you will connect and develop those ideas and shape them with your team, no matter where they're located in the world. And what I say, across disciplines, across cultures. It is important to nurture that global innovation culture. Let's take a closer look at what that really means. What's a global innovation culture and creative team climates? I'll share some discoveries and findings from my research. What I've found is that there are, when you're developing or shaping a global innovation culture, it is important to develop values, three strong values. One is cultural empathy. Looking at how you can develop teams, especially as you grow. And I'm assuming you're going to be a global success. So as you're growing globally and developing teams around the world, ideally you want culturally diverse teams. You want those teams to represent your culture, your customers around the world. And those culturally diverse teams bring the perspective, diverse perspectives that will make your business successful. So showing cultural empathy and appreciation, being able to build or design culturally diverse teams, since we're really moving towards a team and project-driven world. And then creativity. Creativity is a very important value within organizations today, from startup to small, medium-sized organizations to multinational. It's really how you will nurture creativity within your organization. When will you make the time and space for your teams to co-create and to develop innovative thinking? It's very important to make time for that at every phase of the growth process for your startup. And so the final value is collaboration. How will you ensure collaboration and develop that throughout the organization and throughout your startup as you grow? It's very important for engagement and transparency, ensuring that there's a transparent environment. Everybody knows what's going on. They understand. They have all the information and support and resources they need. And also the opportunity to share knowledge, that they feel safe to initiate their ideas. They feel safe to share knowledge that's important to your initiative and to your projects. And that creates a team climate that's responsive, that will respond quickly to customers, truly understand the client, and then transparent as they share knowledge with each other in the moment. It also creates an entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial spirit in that everyone feels that they have the opportunity to engage and to truly initiate ideas no matter when. And that finally creates execution success. So this brings us to the moment of creating your global success story and looking at how you can be a change maker. I say this because as we come to the end of the global journey, or maybe the beginning of your global success story, what is important is to think about that spark in that initial dream and story and how you can make that come alive and ensure that it becomes a global success story and that it can connect with customers everywhere around the world, from Warsaw to Paris to New York City to Rio to Beijing to Bangalore to Kathmandu. And as I look back on the global journey that we've experienced, I think about the time in Kathmandu and how those social entrepreneurs could create their own success stories with very limited resources. Working and developing a social entrepreneurship program with them on limited resources in 2 weeks was amazing, because you could see how just that vision of wanting to be a global hit or would drive them to learn quickly. And in just a matter of 2 weeks, they were, with very limited resources in these more in impoverished communities, they were able to create powerful solutions, from education and support center for women to water treatment, waste management. So they made their dreams, they started making their dreams come alive, just like entrepreneurs in my business school, in organizations, as well as you. And that's where I look forward to hearing your global success story and looking at how will you make that happen through an inclusive global vision, co-creating and connecting ideas, orchestrating innovation, facilitating knowledge sharing, unleashing a global innovation culture, and most important, enjoy your journey. I wish you much success and look forward to hearing global success stories through the Wolf Summit community. Thank you, and it's been a pleasure to speak here.
Hi everybody, Martin Ring here, President of Wolf Summit. So I have the privilege of announcing this evening's winners, and everyone is a winner today. In actual fact, I'd like to congratulate everybody who's been participating. You know, it's a really challenging task. You know, people have been working sometimes for years, for months, hard work, blood, sweat, tears, you know, on their different startup projects. And it's always amazing to be able to compress that into 3 minutes in a pitch deck. So congratulations to everybody for doing that today. But we do have some prizes to give for a number of the top prize winners. And the top 3 prize winners have fantastic prize, sponsored by Angel Hub and W Hub from Hong Kong. And they will share $250,000 worth of tech stock on the F6S platform. So I have the winners here, the names, and obviously it's going to be a virtual applause and a virtual congratulations. The 3 top prize winners are Otsian, InStreamly, and Take Task. Congratulations to 3 prize winners. As I say, 250,000 worth of tech stock on the F6S platform you'll share. So congratulations. Let's give them a virtual applause, please. Thank you. So there is an additional prize sponsored by Angel Hub and W Hub from Hong Kong this evening, and that goes to the overall winner selected by the jury this evening, and the overall winner was Otsian. So congratulations, Otsian. They will win 2 consultations with the Angel Hub and W Hub team providing mentorship. So let's congratulate them and offer them another warm virtual applause. That is not a machine in the background. These are the team from Wolves Summit clapping, if you can hear it in the background there. We don't use clapping machines. Okay, so our next prize, which goes to the top 2 startups, is sponsored by South Summit Spain. And the winners will get 2 tickets to the South Summit Spain event, which is going to be held in October this year. So hopefully the weather will be good for that event. The 2 top startups were obviously Otsian and InStreamly. So congratulations again. Otsian getting their 3rd virtual clap. Very warm, rapturous applause there from all of the team here to all of the winners. We wish them all warm congratulations. So before we let you loose on the networking, which will start at about 5:50 Central European time and will shut around 6:30. We'd just like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope that that each and every one of you have found this to be an interesting, a positive, and a successful experience. And please do send us your feedback. We look forward to receiving any feedback that you have, so that we can improve the experience for all of you. But obviously, before we close this evening, we'd like to thank all of our sponsors, all of our patrons, and all of our partners for their continuous support throughout. And last but by no means least, the wonderful Wolves Summit team. You heard them clapping in the background. I won't ask them to clap themselves, but they do a great job, and we're really indebted to them. Their hard work. There's a lot of hard work goes on behind the scenes to create the pitch opportunities today. So in the meantime, until our next 100 Wolves pitch competition, please keep submitting your decks, and we'll continue to provide you with the investor feedback. The networking, as I say, will be open in about 2 or 3 minutes, and it will close at 6:30 Central European time. So that's about 40 minutes time it'll be closed. So we look forward to welcoming you back next month. Thank you all. Take care. We look forward to seeing you virtually and perhaps in person if the opportunity arises. Thank you all. Take care. Good evening.